time for Northwestern Outdoors Radio, brought to you by Loophole, America's optical authority. Check out their scopes, binoculars, and more at loophole.com. By Camp Chef, the way to cook outdoors. See what's cooking for you at campchef.com. By Wallowa County, nature never looks so good as it does in Northeast Oregon. Plan your trip today at WallowaCountyChamber.com. By Max Lure Company, makers of the Smile Blade and Wedding Ring Spinner. Find out more at maxlure.com. And by Mardon Resort, where the fish bite, but we don't. Book your next hunting, fishing, or camping getaway at mardonresort.com. Now, let's head to the field and find out what's going on this week with your host, John Cruz.
We've got something for you completely out of the norm this weekend on Northwestern Outdoors Radio as we go far, far west, past the coastlines of Washington and Oregon, to bring you a very special edition of our show from Hawaii. That's right, we're heading to Oahu, but don't worry, we are not hanging out with the crowds at Waikiki. Nope, we are driving an hour away from the hustle and bustle of Honolulu to the north shore of Oahu, known by many as the best surfing destination in the entire world. That's also where Turtle Bay Resort is located, and that is going to be our base camp for this broadcast as we bring you all sorts of outdoor recreation from this tropical paradise. What is Turtle Bay, you might ask? Well, it's a lovely hotel, but it's a lot more than that. Turtle Bay Resort actually sits right on the beach. It takes up 880 acres. That's bigger than all the resorts of Waikiki combined. The resort has multiple restaurants and bars. It offers outdoors fun ranging from snorkeling right outside the hotel doors to surfing, to kayaking, hiking, horseback riding, golfing, and more. Dana Holk, the general manager of Turtle Bay Resorts, going to tell us all about this fabulous place and the incredible variety of adventures you can enjoy while you stay there. We couldn't go to the North Shore of Oahu without trying out surfing ourselves. Fortunately, the Hans Heidemann Surf School is located right at Turtle Bay Resort, and Spencer DeVille was kind enough to spend a morning with my son and I doing his best to teach us how to surf. Spencer also took some time to tell us about the surfing lore and legends of the North Shore and let you know about the surfing you can do too when you visit the resort and Oahu. It turns out Spencer's not only a surfer but an avid hiker too. In fact, he has his own little business called Active Oahu Tours, and he's more than willing to take you hiking to some incredible out-of-the-way destinations during your stay on the island. Not only can you go hiking, but you can go horseback riding too. That's right, there are 5 miles of trails to explore on horseback at Turtle Bay Resort, and we went for a fantastic morning ride while we were there. Once we got out of the saddle, we headed over to the stables to talk to Alicia McCumbers, who will fill you in about all the fun you can have on horseback and some of the interesting things you'll see while exploring the expansive resort property, to include some scenes and places that are going to look very familiar to you if you like to watch the movies. As much as we would like to spend the whole show on Oahu, we do have a few things to share with you from the Northwest as well. Lance Mers joins us for another Extended Max Minute, and we've got upcoming events covering everything. But before we head off to the Hawaiian Islands and to Turtle Bay Resort, David Sparks has a new Sportsman Spotlight for you. This week, he talks to Jolene Dowsey at the Sportsman's Warehouse in Medford, Oregon, to discuss just how table-worthy mule deer venison steak is.
Eat what you harvest. David Sparks with Sportsman Spotlight. Jolene Dowsey's a sales associate at the Sportsman's Warehouse store in Medford, Oregon. She specializes in turkey deep frying equipment and smoking wild game. She practices what she preaches.
Do you hunt yourself?
Yeah, I'm a bow hunter and I hunt elk and deer. I've shot 3 elk with my bow, 2 with my rifle. I've shot 11 bears. And I usually get my deer every year with my bow.
When you say deer, you're talking about muley?
Muley.
You don't eat muley, do you?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, yeah. You don't eat mule deer?
I have not. I've eaten every other kind of venison, but I've heard that muley was not all that good. Do you have a recipe?
Oh, my goodness.
Well, talk to me about that.
Not good. Yeah, I would rather eat a mule deer than a blacktail. They just have a different taste. As long as you take care of them, as soon as you shoot them, get the hide off and get it hanging and cooling. Somebody must not be taking care of their animal very good. Told me the same thing about an antelope. Last year I got an antelope. My first antelope, I'd never even been antelope hunting. And it was a nice one. And we got the hide off right away and got it in the cooler. And they told me that I'm not going to like it. It's going to be raunchy. Oh, That meat was better than any elk or deer meat I've ever eaten. I think it's all in how you take care of it. And a mule deer, especially, you got to get that hide off. You can't hauling around the back of your truck all day while you try to get another deer. And I think that's a mistake a lot of people make.
This is David Sparks for Sportsman Spotlight.
I've enjoyed every person I've ever worked with at Farm Credit.
Oregon farmer Skip Gray talks about Northwest Farm Credit Services.
You want to surround yourself with top-drawer people, and Farm Credit provides top-drawer people. So it's been my privilege to be a local advisor with Farm Credit.
Northwest Farm Credit Services is a cooperative guided by customer advisors. Farmer Chad Neely explains the advantages of such a system.
The board of directors are all agriculture people, whether they're dairymen, cow guys, cow-calf guys, or row crop or dryland farmers. They've all been out there on the front lines, and I have access to those people.
This kind of access is an advantage for producers.
That's a big thing. I mean, there's one of the guys that farms real close to right here, and I can call and talk to him and say, hey, what do you think? Or here's my opinion.
Northwest Farm Credit Services. Customer-owned, customer-driven.
At Loophole Optics, they guarantee performance. Those other optics companies, they just warranty failure. That's why every Loophole product has a lifetime guarantee. Think of it as a warranty you'll never need to cash in on. Find out more at Loophole.com.
You're back with Northwestern Outdoors Radio, and I'll tell you what, every year we get to go to some special places, but I think we're going to have a hard time beating this one. We are broadcasting from Turtle Bay Resort. It's on the north shore of Oahu. You can probably hear the palms of the trees waving in the wind. You can probably hear the surf in the background. Folks, this is a working definition of paradise, and with us here to tell us more about it is the general manager for Turtle Bay Resort, Dana Hulk. Dana, thanks for having us here. This is a wonderful place to be.
Well, welcome. I'm glad you're here, and it's a beautiful day, so it's a nice time to be outdoors talking with you.
Let's go ahead and give our listeners an overview of this huge 800-acre resort on the north shore of Oahu, a long ways away from the crowds at Waikiki.
Great. We have 452 rooms. We just finished a beautiful renovation of $30 million in December of last year. And the resort includes 2 golf courses, 18 holes. We have stables for horseback riding. We also have tennis courts, lots of activities, including a surf school, kayaking, a lot of things to do out at Turtle Bay.
In addition to all the rooms, and by the way, folks, these rooms are beautiful, and every single room is basically an oceanfront or awesome ocean view room, so you don't have to worry about getting the garden view. It ain't going to happen. Number 2 is you've got some great dining here, too, and we'll get into that in a little bit as well. But what I want to focus on next is the fact that this resort, like no other resort I've been to, really encourages people to get outside and play.
We do. I mean, the weather is so conducive to being outdoors most of the year. If it rains and it goes away. So we do everything from, I mentioned, horseback riding, kayaking, stand-up paddle boarding, surf lessons, Segway tours. We are going to also be adding our own agricultural land where we'll have our own acreage to grow our vegetables, so we'll eventually be doing farm tours as well, right across the street.
Oh, fantastic. Well, let's go ahead and break down some of the things that guests are doing here, and I guess we'll start off with what's going on literally right out the door: snorkeling and beach fun and pool fun. I think that's what draws most of the people here and keeps most people on the grounds, isn't it?
It is, and I think the neat thing about it is you really don't have to go anywhere to do those things. You can just kind of walk out the door or into the lobby area and book all of the things that you'd like to do all at one time. So just a variety of things to do. You don't have to get on an airplane, go to a different island to do them. You're right here on Oahu.
Well, the snorkeling, literally, folks, I mean, you walk out the doors of this resort. There's a beach and actually a wonderful restaurant right there, and you go ahead and you get 2 hours of complimentary, snorkel gear a day as a guest, and you're going to see, a couple dozen different species, easy, of fish there, and you've got a lot of wildlife too. I understand that sometimes you've got sea turtles that come on shore and Hawaiian monk seals, and we even got to see dozens of humpback whales breaching the distance too. It's just gorgeous.
It really is, and right in our bay, right out the windows of the hotel, you could see the sea turtles. turtles. So you don't have to go down the street, although if you went down the street a few miles, there's an area that everybody gathers around to see the sea turtles, but they're right here at Turtle Bay. And then also we have a monk seal that comes back every year to birth another pup, and so we have a pup that's beaching around here, and we try to keep them separate from the resort just so they don't get a little too friendly.
Oh no, absolutely. And folks, if you ever come across a seal pup anywhere, leave it alone. Mama's around, don't go up there and disturb it. Same goes with the sea turtles too. In addition to the snorkeling, in addition to the great pools that you have here and the beach that you get to hang out on, you really encourage people to go ahead and try out surfing and stand-up paddling. We're going to talk about that more in the show, but you've got lessons for a very reasonable price offered right here, don't you?
We do, and Hans Hedemann, who was a big-time surfer in the 70s, is the person that runs that school. He has a school here and in Waikiki and on the west shore of Oahu, and he tells us that this is the most popular school. He does the most business out of this school, and his instructors are some of the greatest people. They're so down to earth and so patient and so much fun that it makes every lesson, just a great experience.
We're talking to Dana Hulk. She's the general manager of the Turtle Bay Resort on the north shore of Oahu. That's right, folks. We're broadcasting from paradise today. We've told you about some of the surfing and stand-up paddling you can take part in, snorkeling, beach and pool fun. There's kayak adventures that are offered as well. And we talked about some of the sea life you're going to see there. Let's talk about something else, though. You've got like 5 miles of trails here, and people can hike. They can get a bicycle from the activity center, or they can even rent a Segway, can't they?
Yes, they can. And the nice thing about it is you can go in one direction one day, another direction the other day, and have plenty of time to really enjoy the whole resort. It takes you along the coast, so you'll see the beach.
And actually, we were interrupted there by something else you can do. That's the Magnum PI helicopter tour, isn't it?
Yes, we have a helicopter pad on the property, so we do tours directly from Turtle Bay. It could be as short as 15 minutes or as long as an hour, and it goes into areas that are really beautiful places that you wouldn't otherwise see. You definitely can't get to by road. So if you have the time, it's a great thing to do to see different parts of the island.
I've got to ask about that helicopter, too. Is that the actual helicopter used in the old series with Tom Selleck, Magnum PI?
Yes, I understand that it is. I haven't looked at it myself or been on it myself, but that's what I understand, yes.
And I guess we should point out, there's a little bit of Hollywood there, so to speak, but Hollywood's come to Turtle Bay quite a few times, hasn't it?
Yeah, they have. We've done a lot of filming out here with some of the Hollywood producers, and we've seen ourselves in the hotel and the name of Turtle Bay on TV.
Forgetting Sarah Marshall, very popular movie, and Lost. And in fact, if you go on some of these trails, you're going to see some of those sites, aren't you?
Exactly right. And then I think Soul Surfer was another one. And we also did Cougar Town out here.
Well, there you go. So if you recognize some scenes from TV, now you'll know why. And, there's a reason they're picking this place. All the stars want to come here, too. This is a fun place to hang out. One other thing we should talk about, in addition to these, this trail system that you have for hikers and bikers and Segway, you've actually got trail rides. You can go ahead and saddle up and head on out, can't you?
Yeah, you sure can. We have about 35 horses here on the property that we own, and some ponies as well. So we have pony tours for children, and then for adults, rides in the early morning or in late afternoon, so you can see the sunset. And it is along inner parts of the resort, but also along the coastline, so it's just absolutely beautiful. And if you get to go on this ride in the morning when the sun's coming up, there's nothing better.
Something I want to talk about before we go here is the fact that you actually incorporate your dining experiences into the outdoors as well. And you just mentioned that whole sunset experience. And we've got to experience that at your Hang 10 bar, which is also a restaurant right by the pools and literally right next to where the surfers are going by. Fantastic location. Great place to watch the sunset.
It's probably the most popular place on the resort at about 6 o'clock, depending what time of year when the sun's going down, because everybody gathers there to watch that sun go down, and they hope to find that green flash. Have you heard of that?
No, tell me more.
So the green flash is when the sun is setting and there's nothing in the way between the water, the ocean, and the sun. And when the orangeness of the sun hits the blue of the water for an instant, as soon as it touches, there's a flash of green.
Oh, I hope I get to see that before we go. Another restaurant that, again, incorporates this whole let's get outside experience is Ola, and fantastic fresh food. I had the ahi poke there. It was delicious.
Ola's is one of my favorite places, too, because you can actually sit in the sand and have your dinner, and so your toes could be touching the sand while you're sipping on a glass of wine or margarita or whatever you like. But it's also, the food is excellent. The chef is local. He's been here for many, many years, and he's quite a celebrity chef in Hawaii.
One other thing we've got to talk about, Surfer the bar. It's a bar like none other I've seen. You know, the North Shore, folks, if you don't know it, this is like the capital of surfing for probably the entire world. And they've actually got a bar, and this is in partnership with Surfer Magazine, isn't it?
It is. It's a marketing partnership with them. And Surfer the Bar has been really successful because we've changed it from being just a simple bar to really being an entertainment place on the North Shore. We have lots of entertainers, and we do a thing called Talk Story, which is once a month we have a celebrity from the local world who will come and talk to people, and sort of Talk Story means to exchange information. And so, for example, if Jerry Lopez would be our Talk Story guest, then we have a person interviewing him and talking to him about his experiences. And it's really people that love to surf would love to see him. And there are other people, divers, professional divers, people that are really renowned in Hawaii.
And Jerry Lopez, folks, has a Northwest connection. He is one of the most famous surfers around. He's actually at the resort this week, and he actually is living in Bend, Oregon a good portion of the year. And when he's not shredding the pipeline, shredding the snow over there at Mount Bachelor. So we might have to get him on the show as well. We are running out of time. We could go on forever about everything you find here at Turtle Bay Resort. But before we go, let's give people a website to find out more.
Go on the website, turtlebayresort.com, and there's tons of information. We're an adventure resort. We like people to see what they can experience on that website so that they can plan ahead.
It's turtlebayresort.com. You're going to find lots of videos to see, lots of great information, but it just doesn't do justice, folks. You got to go ahead and book this trip. Come here. You are not going to regret it. You're going to love playing outside in Oahu. TurtleBayResort.com is the place to go. Dina, thanks for telling us all about it on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
You're welcome. Thanks for being here.
We're back with John Cruz on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
It's time for another Max Minute.
Fish on!
Brought to you every week by Max Lure Company. We've got a multi-species lure to tell you about this week. It works for lake trout. So if you're going to be heading to Lake Chelan in Washington, maybe Flathead Lake in western Montana, or Priest Lake in northern Idaho, well, this lure also works for walleye. So if you like to hit Banks Lake, Potholes Reservoir in the fall, maybe Canyon Ferry Reservoir or Tiber Reservoir in western Montana, we've got the lure for you. With us here to tell us exactly what it is, Lance Mers with Max Lure Company. Tell us, Lance.
Hi, John. It's called the Double Whammy Pro Series, and it comes in 14 different styles and 3 different sizes, size 2, 4, and 6 hooks. It's got a really wide hook gap space, about 1.5 inches wide. So when you're fishing in that water with your bait, it gives it a really plug action wiggle.
I've actually fished the Double Whammy Pro quite a bit for walleye on Potholes Reservoir. It's actually one of my go-to lures because it works fantastic. It's got that smile blade, it's got the beads, like you said, it's got the hooks on it. It works fantastic, especially behind a bottom bouncer weight. Is there anything else you want to tell us in terms of favorite colors that you like to use in the fall?
Chartreuse is always good. We have another color. It's the Ruby Double Whammy Pro, and that does good as well. But the great thing about this is you can change out those smile blades very, very easily. And you don't have to use them with just the bottom mounts or two. You can troll them using some sort of flasher like our Double D Dodgers.
Absolutely. So, and especially if you're going for lake trout, fishing off a downrigger, that's exactly what you're going to want to do. So again, whether you're after Lakers or after walleye, the Double Whammy Pro is probably the lure that you want to start using because you're probably not going to change it up because you'll be catching fish. And that wraps up another Max Minute brought to you every week by Max Lure Company, makers of the world-famous wedding ring spinner and the patented smile blade.
I'm Bob Loomis, and I fish for walleye. Sometimes when I'm out on the water, I feel like a destroyer captain hunting for targets with my electronics. I'm not hunting submarines, though. I'm hunting fish, and when I find that big one on the fish finder, I want to make sure she's going to bite. That's where the Smile Blade Slow Death Rig from Max Lure comes in. The Smile Blade spins and flashes at ultra-slow speeds, and the one-of-a-kind red hook keeps that bait moving in a way the fish can't resist. It's the Smile Blade Slow Death Rig, only from Max Lure.
Hi, this is Mark Hemstreet, owner of Shiloh Inns. Many of our Shiloh customers have been visiting our Shiloh locations for years, and here's an example of someone who wouldn't stay anywhere else.
Sometimes I go visit family, but most of the time I travel back and forth for business. And the best part is that I always travel with my dog Lucky, and he's welcome at any of the Shiloh Inns. I love their beds, beautiful rooms, really clean. The staff go out of their way to make me feel comfortable. Business area when I need it. Man, I'm telling you, at the end of the day, do I ever enjoy that pool and the spa. Plus, free breakfast. I love Shiloh Inns. It's everything I need.
We invite all of you to try Shiloh Inns the next time you're traveling for business or pleasure. Call 1-800-222-2244 or visit our website at shilohins.com. Shiloh Inns, affordable excellence. American family-owned and proud of it.
Welcome back to Northwestern Outdoors, broadcasting from the North Shore of Oahu at the beautiful Turtle Bay Resort. You probably hear some surf in the background. We've got Tutu Janet, very well-known personality, strumming a ukulele now and again that you're going to hear too. And we are with Spencer DeVille. He is a surf instructor with the Hans Heidemann Surf School. They're located right here at Turtle Bay. And if you're staying here at the resort, you could plop down a very affordable price of like $75 and go on a 2-hour surf lesson. I did it, had a great time today with my son, and I guarantee you, folks, you ought to try this. Spencer, thanks for a great day in the surf.
Thanks for joining me.
Spencer, let's go ahead and talk about surfing in Oahu. I mean, you're a California kid. You came over here for college, and you came over here for the surfing. Tell me about surfing in California and Oregon and Washington versus surfing here on the North Shore of Oahu.
Gosh, it's like night and day. I mean, growing up surfing, we had maybe 3-foot swells daily, and that's the face of the wave. And then a good day, like a great day, would probably be about 6 to 8 feet over there in California, especially, Southern California, Huntington Beach area where I grew up. And you'd go out with your friends daily, throw on your wetsuits, do a dawn patrol with about 200 to 300 other guys out in the water next to you. It's a good time. But coming here, my surfing abilities have just exponentially grown. It's because the waves and the ocean demand so much more of you. And that's why some of the best surfers from the entire planet traffic here, move here, and try to make a life here, because it just makes you so much better.
Well, we've actually ran into some of those surfers here today. We actually ran into Hans Heidemann, who owns this surf school and is a very well-known figure in the surfing world. Jerry Lopez has been hanging out here at the resort. He's actually from Bend, Oregon. You might see him up on Mount Bachelor shredding through the snow up there on a snowboard, but he made his name as a surfer, on the Pipeline, which is a big deal here, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's pretty much the biggest and most prestigious wave here in Oahu, and could possibly be the entire world. Jerry Lopez, about 20, 30 years ago, was named Mr. Pipeline. That's how everybody knew him. He surfed that wave with more grace and presence and prestige than anyone else. And basically he's here for a week giving a small surf camp as well with us. So it's a great pleasure to have him.
Let's go ahead and talk about the difference between the waves. Even just a couple of days ago, we were looking at 20-foot surf out here. It was amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what the North Shore has to offer, is the amazing ability to harness the massive open ocean swells, and with our reef breaks, it provides the perfect balance of tube riding, of shoulder jumping, which is when you just get on the wave on the side for a couple of those beginners. But some of those big waves, you can get into them at a nice, smooth, easy pace. And that's what we do here at Hans Heidemann Surf School. We help you catch the wave that is going to match your skill level.
Well, and folks, they're not going to start you off on 20-foot waves. Don't worry about that. One more thing, though, before we leave, what the North Shore of Oahu is when it comes to surfing, I guess we really ought to put it in perspective. It's such a big deal that they have not one, not two, but like 3 championship big-name contests here every winter, don't they? What are those?
Absolutely. The World Tour ends in Hawaii. And there are 3, like you said, distinct surfing competitions. The first one takes place in Haleiwa, which is famous surf town. Haleiwa Beach Park is where that first jewel of the Triple Crown is what it's called, takes place. Second spot is Sunset Beach, where many of the greats like Jerry Lopez or Hans Hedemann, Bobby Owens, they all surfed back there in the day. And that break is just amazing, beautiful. I myself is my favorite out of the three. And the third one is called Pipeline, which we talked earlier about with Jerry Lopez. That wave is so strong. The word we use here is heavy. If you were to wipe out there, the reef is super shallow and the currents are very strong. People die there every year. So in order to surf there, you have to have a certain level of expertise, and that's why that's the final stop at the Vans Triple Crown.
All right, so we've set the plate for you about why surfing is such a big deal. I mean, the world over, and it's happening right here on the North Shore of Oahu. Let's talk about getting into surfing, though, at the Hans Hedemann Surf School right here at Turtle Bay Resort. 2-hour lessons, very affordable, as we mentioned earlier in the show. You know, break it down for our listeners, Spencer. What's going to happen when they sign up for one of these surf lessons?
Basically, we'll start you off with the appropriate board, the appropriate equipment. Everything's included, even transportation if we need to leave the hotel premises. We'll take you to a nice, simple break that's going to be very easy to negotiate. Teach you the waves, teach you the currents, and then we'll teach you basically how to stand up on the shore. That way you can kind of go through those motions, make the mistakes you're going to make because everybody does, and then just get your skills honed before we even get into the water. Once we get out, as an instructor, we get you into position out in the ocean, situate you right in front of the wave that's going to gently take you down the face, and basically time it just right so that when you start to paddle, the wave catches you. We'll give you a little extra nudge if you need it to help you into the wave, and that's when you go through those steps that we practiced on land.
It's a 4-step process, folks, and again, it's pretty easy to do. A little coordination helps, I will tell you that. And believe it or not, you need some upper body strength to paddle out to those waves in the first place. So, you know, you're going to feel a little bit of burn, but boy, you are going to absolutely love it. And, you know, you spend 2 hours, you feel like you've had a great workout, you feel like you've had a wonderful experience. You know, in the waves that we're catching there, they're what, 2-3 foot waves?
Yeah, about that, 1 to 2, nice and easy.
They only look 3 if you've never done it before, folks. But it is a great time. It's a wonderful introduction to the sport of surfing. And if you like it, you guys offer a lot more, too, in terms of private lessons and more intermediate lessons. I mean, like you said, you cater to every skill level at the Hans Hedemann Surf School, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. We have the group lesson, which starts off at $75. And for the most part, that's just the regular beginner lesson. We also have a private lesson, which is $150. That is 2 hours long, and we will take you on the hotel property somewhere that fits your needs, fits your surfing abilities. Also, there's one other lesson, which is a North Shore tour. If you are already a pretty good surfer, but you're just afraid of that big jump from the West Coast to North Shore waves, we have for $300, it's a 3-hour, anywhere on the North Shore private tour.
If you want to surf, this is the place to come. Turtle Bay Resort on the North Shore of Oahu and the Hans Hedemann Surf School. They're located here in Turtle Bay and in Waikiki as well. You can go ahead and find out more about the surf school and about surfing at Turtle Bay Resort at turtlebayresort.com. That's turtlebayresort.com. And Spencer DeVille is just one of the many great surf instructors you're going to find here at the school to help you with surfing, stand-up paddleboarding, and just giving you information you need to have a great time during your stay on Oahu. Spencer, thanks for telling us all about it on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
Thanks so much, John.
It doesn't matter what sort of adventure you're after, whether it's big game deep in the backcountry, a day of fishing out on the water, or an overnight in the great outdoors. At Sportsman's Warehouse, we've got the gear in here for what you need out there. Gear up for your next adventure at one of the Sportsman's Warehouse stores or shop online. Sportsman's Warehouse, America's premier outfitter.
At Loophole Optics, they guarantee performance. Those other optics companies, they just warranty failure. That's why every Loophole product has a lifetime guarantee. Think of it as a warranty you'll never need to cash in on. Find out more at loophole.com.
Have you fished with Nate Luther before? He's the guide who's always catching fish out of his big boat painted in Seattle Seahawks blue and green. Nate grew up around Lewiston, Idaho. He has been fishing the Snake River and the Clearwater for as long as he can remember, and he wants to take you out on a trip where you can catch Chinook salmon to 25 pounds or steelhead up to 20 pounds. Here's how you do it. Go to his website, NateLuthersGuideservice.com. That's NateLuthersGuideservice.com, or give him a call at 208-503-9204. That's 208-503-9204 for an awesome Chinook salmon and steelhead catching adventure.
The road is calling you to experience one of Oregon's 7 wonders, the Wallowas. So grab your family and spend some time exploring Northeast Oregon's Wallowa County. Visit the state park at the head of glacier-carved Wallowa Lake. Travel the Hells Canyon Scenic Byway. Feel the pioneer spirit, Nez Perce history, and see our Western arts and bronzes. Ascend to the top of Mount Howard on the tram and you'll see why Wallowa County is one of Oregon's most scenic and adventurous vacation wonders. This summer, take the road that leads to wonders. It begins at WallowaCountyChamber.com.
It's the bolo-head coconut tree. It does its way in the breeze for me.
You're back with Northwestern Outdoors Radio, and yes, again, we are broadcasting from the beautiful North Shore of Oahu at Turtle Bay Resort. We've told you about all sorts of things you can do, well, out on the water, but you know what? There's things you can do on land, too, and one of those things is to saddle up and go for a ride on a horse. With us here to tell us more about the trail rides and more offered at Turtle Bay Resort is Alicia McCumber. She is the stable manager here at Turtle Bay. Alicia, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Alicia just got out of the saddle. We had a wonderful 45-minute trail ride with your guide, Kylie from Australia, who took us to some fantastic places here on the resort property. And I guess the one thing we need to go ahead and kind of lay out for folks here right off the bat is, 800 plus acres is here on the resort property. I mean, that's like more than all of the hotel properties put together in Waikiki, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Let's go ahead and talk about what people are going to find here. You have the stables. What kind of rides and trips do you offer some of the guests that come here?
We offer several different rides from the very beginner to the experienced rider. So we offer 45-minute trail rides that are guided. Our trail ride takes us along the oceanfront of the property. We kind of ride in the Cavella Bay area, which is about 60 acres. We ride through there. So we offer the 45-minute trail rides. Then we go into some longer rides that we have available in the evening. One is an evening ride. It's a 75-minute trail ride. And the other is the sunset ride, which is also 75 minutes. In the early morning hours, we offer a private ride for experienced riders. So you're able to walk, trot, and canter to your skill level.
The bottom line is this, folks. Whether you have some experience and you want to go ahead and just kind of get back in the saddle and feel what it's like to be back home, except in a beautiful oceanfront setting, or if you've never done it before and just want to try something new, this is going to be for you. Or if you're like me, you just get in the saddle, maybe once a year or so, but you want to go ahead and experience something fantastic. That's what I got to experience today. And I love the fact that within the 60 acres that we rode, there's so much that you get to see. What are some of the highlights that riders get to see that they really like to rave about?
Well, one of the things that we ride by is an old World War II pillbox, and it kind of jets out on a point, so you're riding right along the ocean with the waves crashing on the rocks right there. You ride around that, and then you can overlook Cavella Bay. We have a bay that's out there that they do a lot of different activities in. And as we ride along, we kind of go through a little bit of a rainforesty area that takes us to a banyan tree. It's an old Indian banyan tree that's over 100 years old. They've done a lot of filming out there. Some of the filming they've done most recent was Catching Fire, and we've done Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tide. Just a lot of different things have been filmed out there, a lot of photo shoots. It's really beautiful. And as we come back around, we're just ocean views the whole way. It's just a beautiful ride.
It is indeed a beautiful ride. And you're going to see a lot of bird life and some animals as well. You're going to probably see some mongoose scurrying around, which is really kind of cool because it's something we certainly don't have back in the rest of the states. And the birds are amazing. Lots of color, lots of beautiful songs. And again, so much different than what we get to hear back home in the Pacific Northwest. So it's a real real treat for all the senses, not just being able to see the beautiful turquoise blue of the ocean right next to you, but again, going through this forested area, getting to see places you've actually seen in the movies before, and then listening to bird song and seeing everything you get to see, all while going along on a nice, gentle horse to boot. It doesn't get much better, does it, Alicia?
No, it doesn't, John. It's so great.
Hey, let's talk about you for a second, because you've got a really interesting story, at least as far as I'm concerned. I mean, you're born and bred here, and this job, managing these stables, is kind of your dream come true, isn't it?
It is. As I was growing up, I've always loved horses, and I volunteered a lot through high school at some of the local stables in the area on the North Shore. And I went to high school in Wailua, which is a small, sugar plantation town on the North Shore. And to get to the next horse place that I was volunteer after school, I would catch the city bus. The city bus would bring us into Turtle Bay to do a little rest stop. So as I'm on the bus, I would always see the horses, they used to ride out on the other side of the property, and they used to cross the street, and I was always thinking, I'd love to work here. So shortly after I graduated, I ended up being able to apply, and I got a job. I started out on call, the next week, was full-time, and I've been here since 1989, and I've made it my career, and I love it. It's the best job in the world.
Well, and there you go. And folks, this is radio, but I got to tell you, Alicia is not an old woman. Apparently, being a horsewoman keeps you young. So she looks like a very young woman who really enjoys the work that she does. And who wouldn't? Because, folks, this is about as close to paradise as I've been in a long time. And the fact that you actually get to ride a horse in paradise makes it even better. One other thing we ought to talk about here, this is a year-round operation. You get to ride horses all year long. It's not like the rest of us back in the States where once winter comes, you're pretty well done in terms of a commercial operation. You're going all the time, aren't you?
Yes, we go 7 days a week. Girls get here at 5:30 in the morning, leave at 7 at night. It's a great place to be. We can ride all year round. Winter, it's cooler, it's beautiful, the surf is up. Summer, it's nice, perfect. A lot of our trails are shaded. We're right along the trees. It's just beautiful.
Well, there you go, folks. So consider riding a horse on Oahu as part of your trip here to Turtle Bay Resort. And you can find out more by simply going to the website, turtlebayresort.com. Turtlebayresort.com is the website. Just go to the activities page. You're going to find a page that has to do with riding a horse, and I think you're going to enjoy it as much as I have. It's been a great morning, and I know if you do it, you're going to enjoy it, whether it's a morning ride or a sunset ride to watch the sun go down over the Pacific Ocean. Alicia, thanks for telling us all about it, and thanks for a great morning in the saddle. We sure appreciate it.
Aloha, John. You're welcome.
You don't believe me. You've got to go to Kahuku by the sea.
Leupold has been building optics in Oregon since 1907, and Leupold binoculars bring excellent optical performance and modern styling to the serious outdoorsman. Whether you're a boater, birder, backpacker, or hunter, Leupold's state-of-the-art binocular lines are sure to fit your needs. From the Poro Prism Yosemite series to the top-of-the-line McKinley Roof Prism, Leupold has a product that is perfect for the passions you pursue. Visit Leupold.com or your local Cabela's, Bi-Mart, or Sportsman's Warehouse to see the full line of Leupold optics.
It doesn't matter what sort of adventure you're after. Whether it's big game deep in the backcountry, a day of fishing out on the water, or an overnight in the great outdoors. At Sportsman's Warehouse, we've got the gear in here for what you need out there. Gear up for your next adventure at one of the Sportsman's Warehouse stores or shop online. Sportsman's Warehouse, America's premier outfitter.
The two-burner camp stove has evolved, and today's line of portable camp stoves from Camp Chef have come a long way from your father's propane stove, featuring matchless ignition, more cooking power, and in some cases a built-in grill or extra burner. And you've got what you need to whip up some great grub in the field. Look for the complete line of Mountain Series stoves at your local sporting goods store. Camp Chef, the way to cook outdoors.
Springtime is prime time to head to Mardon Resort to fish, hike, boat, and see wildlife. Park your RV, pitch a tent, or rent a wonderful park cottage at Central Washington's Potholes Reservoir and go play outside. When it comes to relaxing and enjoying the outdoors, Mardon is the place to be. To find out more, log on to MardonResort.com. That's MardonResort.com to book your next getaway, where the fish bite, but we don't.
We're back with one last cast from John Cruz on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
Next up, we're back at Turtle Bay Resort on Oahu. And you remember Spencer DeVille? That's right. He's a nice guy who took us surfing. Turns out he's got his own company, Active Oahu Tours, where you can hike. Spencer, welcome back to the show. Tell us a little bit about your company.
Well, thanks for having me again. I started this company when I graduated college, and I realized that I didn't want to sit behind a desk every day of my life doing business. So I figured I'd make business out of what I love, and that's hiking. For the main thing, I really, really enjoy being outdoors. I love time spent with nature. And being a cross-country runner here at the university, I got to know intimately all of the trails here in Oahu. Starting the company with this in mind, I wanted to be able to show people a side of Oahu that they wouldn't see if they were just a regular tourist. There's a lot of tours, quote unquote, here in Oahu, but basically they just put you on a bus and drive you around. I wanted to take people into the mountains, along the coastlines, and up the riverbeds that they normally wouldn't be able to find.
Well, you know, for those of us who lived in the inland northwest, so to speak, where this show is generally produced, coming here to Oahu is just a feast for the senses. And I'm with you. I love to walk trails. I love to soak up things. And one thing that's here is the wildlife. And so for me, something as simple as the myna birds, you know, which are exotic to me. The different types of doves that you have here, the pigeons that you have here, which are different than what we have on the mainland. The pounding surf that is a constant companion to you. It's just a feast for the senses, and you don't even get into the coconut trees and everything else here. So I'm guessing on these hikes that you offer, you're sharing this and much, much more. Tell us about some of your favorite hikes you like to take guests on.
Some of my favorite hikes, which I probably won't name, that way you can just give me a call and I'll take you on them. Some of my favorite hikes include a beautiful open vista of the entire North Shore. It's a short hike that will take you up a pretty steep incline with ropes as guided handrails. It takes you up above the North Shore and basically just a ridgeline walk once you get up there. And you can see all the way from, I guess it doesn't mean much to you, but from V-Land or where Sunset Beach is, all the way down past Pipeline, which is about a 4-mile stretch of just surf break after surf break and world-class surf and surfers all in front of your eyes. It's a beautiful hike. If the mountains is more your style instead of seeing the ocean, then there's another hike further on the east side that's inland. It ends up at a waterfall. It beautifully surrounded with vegetation, foliage. The greenery is just massive leaves and vines everywhere. You feel like you're in the middle of the Amazon jungle. And that hike is pretty basic. Any family member could do it. It's not super excruciating by any means. And then there's one that I would recommend to you hike enthusiasts that exists on the west side of the island, which basically takes you to the highest point in Oahu, where you can stand on top and see the entire island from coast to coast, from the east to the west. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous view, but it definitely takes a guide to be able to get you there safely and to be able to show you around. But those are just, three, one on the north, one on the east, one on the west.
Tell me, how long are these guided hikes and how much do they cost?
The guided hike is, depending on which one you take, usually about 2 hours. 2.5 to 3 hours could be. They're $60 a person. If you get a big group in, we do have a group rate, which you can find on our website at activeoahutours.com.
If you're going to come here to Hawaii, get outside and have fun doing it. And that's what Spencer is offering, again, with Active Oahu Tours. The website, activeoahutours.com. The phone number, 424-242-9241. That's 424-242-9241 at activeoahutours.com. Spencer, sounds like I need to go hiking with you, and I hope some of our listeners will too on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
Great. Thanks so much for having me.
We hope you've enjoyed our show and our journey back to Turtle Bay Resort on the fabled North Shore of Oahu. There are some events going on there as well you may want to know about. Maybe book a trip for to include the Stand-Up Paddleboard World Series Finals taking place October 10th through the 12th at Turtle Bay Resort. And the Vans Triple Crown of Surfing has 3 dates you'll want to know about. The Reef Hawaiian Pro is taking place on the North Shore November 12th through the 23rd. The Vans World Cup of Surfing, it was going
going to be going off at Sunset Beach November 24th through December 6th, and the Billabong Pipe Masters is taking place at the famous Pipeline December 8th through the 20th. Turtle Bay Resort also has some really great Thanksgiving and Christmas getaway packages too. Find out more about booking a stay at this wonderful, wonderful resort on the North Shore of Oahu, where getting outside is just as important as anything else. The website, turtlebayresort.com. That's turtlebayresort.com. While you're on the web, check out our website too. That's northwesternoutdoors.com. And in case you missed some of this week's broadcast, we'll have it posted for you there all of this coming week. We also have a Facebook page at Northwestern Outdoors Radio. Follow us, like us, and you'll find news and information that doesn't necessarily make it on the show because we can only cram so much into an hour every week. That's all for this week. We're going to leave you with some music from Tutu Janet again. So until next time, aloha, take care, God bless, and make it a point to spend some time outdoors.